And welcome back to another episode of Shift Happens. This week, we're going to talk about a couple things. The DOT is threatening to cut funding for states over the English proficiency mandate. We also have a new video showing the truck driver accused in a deadly Florida crash speaking English prior to the stop, and also Chinese components in trucking technology. And so we're going to take a look at all those things with myself, Darian Weems.
And Tal saying, guys, welcome back.
Spectacular. Tal, how's it going? How's the week? How we rolling? What's going on?
Well, trucking is making a lot of news. Just putting everybody on high alert to be fully compliant and on your A game. I think it's unfortunate that it takes an accident like this to get everybody's attention. So this is where it really shows you that there's a lot of missing pieces to the puzzle, that a lot of people probably dropped the ball on this whole situation, and the president and everybody's looped into it, and they want to make a change, and I think it's about time that they are definitely doing something about it, which again, over the years, it has hurt the industry, open borders. And again, don't want to get too political here with this news, right? We want to just put the focus on raise awareness on what we can all do our part in this.
Actually, I wish I had a funny comment while you were out, just talking about, how pop culture this week had their story, which was Taylor and Travis getting engaged. And in trucking, the story that we can't get away from this week has been this crash down in Florida. So I guess kind of dovetailing on into it, coming off of that, we saw Duffy, the transportation secretary, come out talking about things that are going to happen to states. And he has these rungs that he's, I guess, going on for states that are not enforcing the rules properly. And so this first rung has been to threaten the cut of funding to states over the enforcement of the English proficiency stuff there. So a couple high level thoughts. I actually thought that it wasn't like a strong enough message on some level, like if we're coming out and everyone's saying that this is a very big issue and we're all worried about safety, we're all worried about all of these things, and the mechanism for how you get states to enforce that, at least in the initial, he did say that there are going to be 3 levels to this. This is the first level, is that you're going to cut like tens of millions of funding from, a state's budget like California, that's probably many, many tens of billions of dollars. I mean, obviously, every little dollar counts in a state like that that's running at a deficit, but it didn't feel super strong to me. I'll be interested to see how a lot of that stuff shakes out over the next couple weeks if they start enforcing. If they don't, what are going to be kind of the mechanisms for like upping the ante there for the transportation secretary and the federal government essentially. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that stuff shakes out. What are your kind of high level first thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, for California, I think we were talking about this earlier, like 20, 30 million is not going to make an impact. But what is the second and the third step? How are they going to do to enforce? I think in the coming days and weeks, we will find out from our drivers that if there has been a change or what kind of change we're going to see, because a lot of the Democratic states don't really want to comply with the federal law. And we already know why that is. In a few years, the governor of California is going to, we already know he's going to try to shove it to the Republicans. And, but hey, at the end of the day, the whole goal for Duffy, if you guys are listening, what the department wants is safety for all of us and our families. They want the roads to be safer.
Yeah, I think I guess the high level thing is like, at least in that initial phase, do you think that uh, the threat of cutting tens of millions of dollars, in some instances, I think it's like in New Mexico, it's maybe like $5 million of funding, which again, it's not nothing, but do you think that that is efficient and effective in getting states to enforce these rules?
I think they're playing it soft right now. In the first step, I guess they want their attention, and it should be already enough that they're putting it out nationwide in the news, right? It kind of shows you what states are not complying and why they're not complying. It's just like they have not given a great reason on why they're not doing these tests and everything, that they're trying to put it down on these states, right? But yeah, I'm curious to see what are the next steps after that. what are they going to do to enforce these laws?
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty interesting to see what the ante up's going to be, because I can almost guarantee that California is not going to comply, and so it'll be a funny dance that we see go back and forth between the federal government and California, particularly Gavin Newsom, as he's probably preparing for some type of a presidential election cycle and is going to want to be able to say to his constituents that he fought, he fought Trump, he fought the federal government on these like unfair rules. So it'll be interesting to see how a lot of that stuff shakes out. A lot of people are asking, there's like a lot of conjecture when you're kind of getting inundated with this stuff online, saying that this crash is being used kind of, they're scapegoating this as kind of the reason. And essentially, that language isn't the real barrier there. And so they're using the tragedy to kind of push an agenda, the agenda being that there's like too many foreign drivers or, this, that, and the third. So just from your high level, do you think that there, like the language barrier matters? Yeah, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, a few things that, we saw another video where the driver was able to speak, some English, yeah, not great, but I think
Yeah.
that moment where he failed that test, he might, again, maybe they should redo that test now. Maybe in the heat of a moment, I think I would love to see if they can retest him again. And you're right, it is being pushed. Again, the open borders did not help over the last few years, right? We saw a big amount of drivers because we got to look at the whole industry. If we step back a little bit, right? Why do immigrants want to come in within a year? They're on the truck. Why is it so easy for them to easily come into the country and get on the truck within that year?
Uh-huh.
Right? If we just talk about the overall, it should take them a few years, meaning anybody that comes into the country, the first step should be for no matter what field you're going to get into, is for you to take a couple of classes in order to know the rules to drive a car, let alone a truck. Meaning you need to have a basic understanding. And even before anybody applies to come into legally or illegally into the country, it should be mandated that everybody needs to go through some sort of courses, right? And they have to pass those courses. Okay, how about this? Why are the DMVs allowing car and truck tests to be done in other languages? Why?
Facts. Yeah.
It should be only done in English.
Hmm.
Okay, are the signs in Spanish or Punjabi or another country? No, it's only English. So why are the DMVs giving licenses or you're able to do the written test in another language? That's the step one right there.
Yeah. And then think about it. It's like, you think you can go to India or China or Italy and take any of these tests in English? Probably not. I don't know for sure. Actually, you might be able to, but like probably not, right? And so it begs the question that you're hinting at, which is like, why are we just making it so easy to subvert the processes that we have in place and available? I think the thing that you're also hinting at that I've seen a lot of talk about online also is the there's like a school of thought that says, hey, trucking is not a job, it is a profession, right? And in order to be a professional truck driver, you need a lot of schooling, you need a lot of training, you need a lot of these things before you even step foot in a truck. And then there's a school of thought of people who are like, whatever, it's just, I'm going to get in a truck for a couple years, whatever. It's like a thing that I'll do. And I think that tension is really almost at the heart of kind of what we're seeing here, because the people who, I think I agree more with the people who are saying that trucking is a profession and should be treated that way. They're saying a lot of this stuff would be reduced if it was treated with the like due respect of a profession, right? For an example, like you don't want to go in and like have somebody freaking operate on you that like is doing their doctor job like as a job, right? Like, yeah, like I got my thing, I went through med school. It took me 6 weeks, right? Like I got my certification from freaking Darian's doctor stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna take your liver out now, right? No, you want someone that is like has made it their life's work to be a doctor, right? And I think the people that are making that argument are correct, where it's like if you're driving 80,000 pounds down the freeway and any mistake that happens is gonna kill people, then you should be operating under the assumption and from the framework that like, hey, this is a profession and this is like very serious and I'm taking it very serious. And so I think that's an interesting angle. And ultimately, I the tension that I think is at play there between what's happening there.
Yeah.
Um, these kids are crazy, bro.
No, they're good. They're
They're
good.
mad. So yeah, I think yeah, like there's also, I guess, do you think there's any unintended consequences, right? If this is like strictly enforced, there's a question here like, could it push drivers underground, making them less likely to report safety issues or fear of being caught? I don't know if I agree with that. I think, you know, like enforce the rules at the highest level and
100%.
then let the chips fall where they may, right?
Oh, yeah.
Part of the reason why the market is as gets as depressed as it gets, right? And part of why the freight market goes through these big ebbs and flows is just because oftentimes there's just too much capacity, right? And like, how does that happen? Because everyone and their mom can like go and get a CDL and hop in a truck and drive when the times are good, right? And so that leads to more depressed time and more depressed pricing. So what do you think? Unintended consequences? Where do you fall on that?
If we look at the history, right, this law was back from 100 years, 1930s, right? I'm not sure how it was enforced back in the day. If we just talk about overall the trucking industry, there have been rules and regulations that have drastically changed the industry over the years, right? And
Uh-huh.
most people don't want more regulations. They want the right regulations to be, broad change in the industry. And sure, any new changes are going to have some sort of effect, but this is definitely a big one where, you know, from top to bottom, the barrier to entry now for drivers, for trucking companies, for brokers, there needs to be more, how do I say it? Regulations where we need to be, like you said, compared to the doctors at a higher standard. This is a profession. It's not another job where, let's not forget, not this crash was, three lives were taken, but we've
Yeah.
seen many other crashes way worse than these that have taken many other lives, where most of the times people are on their phones, right? And people need to know that, hey, yeah, there are no consequences if you're on your phone doing Amazon, packaging, where if you're on your phone, you get distracted, some boxes are going to fall over the cliff or something.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get hurt by that.
Yeah.
But doing that on a truck, it is, again, the tension that is getting, and it's going to bring a change, I think, in the industry. I definitely think people are not looking in the direction that I want them to be looking in, meaning the DMVs, the truck schools.
Uh-huh.
Like we talked about in the other podcasts, like we are under great scrutiny, where we are under heavy regulations already, and all of the charges, all of the expenses that we go through, and the focus that we put on the compliance. I don't think the same goes for brokers, shippers. Start off being a truck driver. It needs to
Uh,
be there, meaning those truck schools, DMVs. The focus should be there. I don't think there's enough focus being put on where it needs to be.
I agree, 100%. And kind of, in line with this, and you hinted at it earlier, the new video showed the truck driver could speak English, right? In kind of another stop that kind of came to light. In my opinion, like he cannot speak like super well, right? First and foremost. Like I saw a lot of people that were, you know, trying to change the conversation, saying, "See, this guy can speak perfectly good English," and I was like, I wouldn't say that. Um, on top of that, um, you know, I think the fact still kind of remains that, like, on one level, the guy, when they did the test for him there at the scene when he just killed 3 people, like, he failed the test, right? And so he failed the test. He failed the road sign test also, right? Which is almost more important. Like, there's actually a decent argument to be made that's like, hey, you don't need to really be able to speak the language, right? But if you don't know the road signs, like, that is a genuine hazard to society around you, right? And like I said, and I've said this multiple times, like, since I got into this industry, I am terrified of trucks on the roadway now, right? Like, absolutely terrified. I don't want my family driving near them. I tell my wife, like, hey, if you see a truck, like, do not go near them. Try not to pass them. Try not to be directly in front of them in traffic,
Yeah.
because oftentimes you're looking over and like dudes are texting or dudes are looking at their phone or like dudes are distracted, right? And it's like, bro, you have 80,000 pounds. Like, if a small thing happens, someone's gonna die. And I think, ultimately it's like important to look at it through that framework. The people that are like, oh, this is a witch hunt. He killed 3 people, right? And he failed the test on the spot when they gave him the test. So all of this other evidence that they're kind of bringing up and trying to make light of it, I think is on some level disrespectful to the lives that were lost. And Mr. Chor actually brought this up too. I was talking to him the other day about it because we were talking about, we had a customer who used some strong language with us about some things. Um, because of a petition that was going around. And Mr. Tor, I think, was spot on with like the thing that he thought was in bad taste about the petition, which was he said, hey, our community should have put a petition together to raise money for those families.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
He's like, the fact that everyone's getting together to try to get this guy who killed 3 people some type of amnesty or like a easy way out is disrespectful to the people who just lost their lives. And had the community came together and put money together for those families, then I think we're having a different conversation. But because everyone was coming together with this blanket response about how, the dude didn't really make a mistake, this, that, and the third, it just comes off as highly disrespectful and frankly, like a little like disingenuous, right, to people who are in America that already have a strong feeling about immigrants, right? And then to immigrants who violated the rules in a way that led to the death of 3 people.
Yeah, I there was I saw it in the news yesterday that some community did donate like 100,000. Again, not for the fact, a lot of these nonprofit associations. Again, every community is gonna try their best to support their own community, no matter what
Of
happens.
course.
Seen that in the Denver crash,
Mm-hmm.
driver with the Mexican community coming in to help them, right? So no matter how you look at different crashes, different scenarios, overall, we're all in this market in this country. And our job is to raise awareness to everybody and do the right thing and not be able to, get this in a political way where, yeah, hey, he made a mistake and he's going to pay the price.
Mhm.
He's going to being end up in the jail for a long time. Right. So yes, the main thing is people need to be first before they post or say anything online. Just do a little bit of research, guys, before you say anything. It was not the time to say some things that could have waited.
Yeah.
First, look at the overall picture on, what happened. And I think somebody from the community went to the jail and he spoke to him, and there was a statement out there. Again, I don't want to get deep down too much into this topic, but again, raising awareness, being educated before you say anything. Just be wise, guys. That's all.
Yeah. Every conversation is not for you, man. I talk to my wife about this all the time. In a world where we're constantly connected and the worst thing that happens in the world every day is going to make it in front of your face and everyone feels like they're obligated to have an opinion about it, that is a dangerous place to be in. Moving on, we've got NMFTA warns of Chinese components in trucking technology, right? So I guess the issue here is cheap ELDs from China are sending, information places that maybe people don't want the information being sent, I think is the implication here with this like thought bubble. I guess just from a high level, are you worried about that at all? Like, does that give you pause? Like, you know, Chinese ELD having your truck data and your, or your telematic data or anything like that?
What does not the Chinese people have? Every industry, every chip, phones, they have it all. We're making everything. All the manufacturing mostly is done in China. And I think that's step one where, yeah, I mean, most of the ELDs, I doubt that any other country is probably making majority of these devices. Even probably Samsung. I mean, I got a device here on my desk, probably made in China.
Guaranteed.
Oh, made in Mexico. Samsung.
Oh, there we go. Nearshoring for the win.
Samsung.
Nearshoring
You
for the
see,
win, baby.
diversification. Hey, for every country, any So who knows, man? I think that we saw that with ChatGPT AI when the Chinese version rolled out. What happened there? Right away, the government got on it. They did not want people to be using their version of AI, but it did put us in place to be not as expensive or be more competitive, right? Like you better believe we would have charged 100 times more money if we could. If it wasn't for the Chinese to bring their model in, it's much cheaper, I guess. Hey, end of the day, any business, are you going to be able to enforce everybody in the U.S. market to buy products from Mexico and U.S. rather than China?
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, man. I mean, what do you think?
There's, my mind instantly goes to like TikTok, right? And all of the rigmarole that's been made about TikTok and national security implications. I think there's probably a similar vein here. I don't really have any advanced like information or knowledge. The only thing that I'll say is whenever you are, trapped in like a geopolitical battle for, ideological supremacy, um, you probably want to reduce the amount of exposure you have to your, competitor as possible. And so I believe that most of this energy comes from that, which is, hey, we have a competitor, they're a real competitor. Let's not make it easier than it needs to be for them to, um, you know, to attack us, So if they know where every truck on the roadway is in America, can that be harmful? Maybe. I don't know. If they know where a bunch of freight is, maybe their information isn't as safely kept, and maybe freight fraud becomes a lot easier now because there's a bad actor in China who takes all that data and is working with like Mexican cartels in order to steal shipments. Like you never know what the thing could be. There's just risk, right? There's just open-ended risk. And we have to be mindful and thoughtful about what that open-ended risk could potentially mean. Not to say that the worst case scenario is always going to happen, but you have to be mindful of what maybe some of those worst case scenarios can be. Heck yeah. Um, well, that said, Tal, do you have anything else on your mind here as we're wrapping up this episode?
Well, that was a quick one. Come on. Let me see here. Let's try to go through some of this news on
Yeah,
here.
roll through it, man.
Yeah.
Roll through it.
Do you got any other questions for us? And the trickiest part is like manufacturers make the product and other companies just slap their brand on it. Like, I can make similar one and I can make it anywhere I want and slap my, something interesting to again, and with the regulations, I still think the US we can do better for sure. Yeah. Most of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal now, hopefully, is that we stop producing as much in China
Yeah.
into our market because um, I do believe that on some level there is just a level of diversification that needs to happen so that the supply chains don't get clogged up in the event that something bad happens, right? China catches a cold or something. And also just that there's more vibrancy in the market and more options for these things. And that's not to say that China's not doing a great job of like providing um, great stuff for it. So
Any AI news you want to share, Granny, before you head out of here?
man, it is. Is there any new AI news? Not really, man. We're getting to the point now where I think people are starting to roll this stuff out across organizations. feel very strongly that in our industry in the next year, we're going to see a lot of stuff that comes out. I've been talking to us from like a compliance perspective about this, but like they're going to be laser focused on using AI to weed out bad carriers, and you don't want to get caught on the wrong side of that trend, right? Because it's not going to be a conversation. It's not going to be a, oh, like this. And it's like, no, you got pinged in the system, my friend. We're not working with you, right? And so that's a good thing for good carriers. It's also a bad thing for maybe good carriers that aren't doing it at the highest level yet. And so I think what we're about to start seeing, because AI is rolling out, like I said, across organizations, and we're going to start to see what that means, what type of efficiency gains you're going to start to have, what kinds of dollars and cents that's going to mean. And frankly, like we're going to start to see the workforce kind of shift around a little bit, I think, because there's going to be a necessity for you to have a little AI fluency. And if you don't have AI fluency, I would imagine that like if you're going into a job interview, any from henceforth, they're going to be like, what's your AI shit look like? Like, what are your plans? How do you use it in your workflow? How do you use it within your job's context? And if you don't have any answers for that, you're probably not going to get the job, right? Because there's going to be some young cracked 24-year-old that's like, oh yeah, actually I automated all that shit with ChatGPT and this and that and this and and I've got like a freaking webhook that pings me whenever these types of articles come so that I can. So it's like, we're going to start to see what it actually looks like in practice across organizations. And I'm here for it in this industry. And if you can't answer any of those questions, then we're probably not going to do any business. Now, I like to listen and sit down and listen and talk to some of these guys, right? So anytime someone comes with like a thing where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard that before. I always hear them out just so that I understand what types of products from like a software B2B software perspective is getting built on top of a lot of this stuff. But like I said, most of the time people are just like are banking on you don't know about AI and I know and they know about AI. And so they're gonna sell you some automation essentially, some Zapier automation and say it's AI or some shit like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
the jig is up.
Yeah, nowadays, guys, like what I want to say is rather than just a simple email, give us some case studies, give us some success stories, show us like a real hardcore problem, like you just said, that you can solve for us because we probably get thousands of emails a day, and quarter of those emails are now people trying to sell us something, software, solutions, TMS, and some insurance companies, right? In order to win, I mean, just to put it in perspective, in about 15 years, we've changed industries or our insurance carrier only once, guys. And we're loyal customers. So if you want our business, yeah, we spend a lot of money on software and other things out there, but please do a little effort in when you email if you want our business. Try to provide us some value and you'll get a meeting with us. Another thing, I hate doing demos, to be honest, like not on
Yeah.
see enough from you. What I usually do is if I like the product, I usually follow them. I follow their CEO. I listen to a few of their whatever content you put out there. That's the best way to get your business, to sell your business. Put more content out there. Sell
Straight.
yourself online. Like
Yeah.
there's not enough time for us to be doing demos and meetings and like we want to reduce the set of the meetings. We want to be hyper focused. Another thing I want to say about networking is like, yeah, people want to come visit us, meet with us. And, look, guys, we don't even go to networking events. Very, maybe once a year or twice a year, we go to networking events now. I mean, there was a time that I wanted to go to when I was like, nah, man, you just got to do great shit and people will come to you. You will find the right customers and friends that will want to come work with you.
I think about it within the kind like how I've been trying to orient our own internal sales process, right? If you're just sending people a boilerplate email, you're failing, right? Like, and if you're like people send me boilerplate shit all the time, and I block them, frankly. And then there's people like I took a meeting with this company yesterday, right? And it's like I liked the way that the dude sold, right? And I liked the email, but still didn't reply. Then he cold called me and got me because I'm waiting on another call, and he gets me on the phone and there's like a good dude to talk to, right? And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Like, I'll give you guys 15 minutes, and then we get on these 15 minutes, and it's like I don't know what's gonna happen from that. Like, I don't need more software, but now you have at least an end. So when a thing pops up in my mind where I'm like, oh, I kind of am contemplating this thing, now you're top of mind, right?
Yeah.
And it's the thing that I'm saying to our people internally. Like, it's got to be contextual. It has to be like, here's the thing that we solve for you today and tomorrow, and based on what you said is going to happen that you want to do. Um, and that's how you get your foot in the door. That's not even how you sell. That's how you become top of mind so that whenever sales are about to happen, you can be there, right? And so I think everything that you're saying is true, Todd. It's gotta be contextual. Like, you get very comfortable with like hopping on the phone with people. That's where most of my stuff comes from now. Like, I'm not doing a bunch of networking. I just call people and I'll talk to them for 14 minutes, like once a week. And like over time, I think that's actually very impactful, right?
Time is valuable, guys. Like, we don't have that much time anymore. Like, be very mindful of, you know,
Yes.
taking somebody's time.
Yeah, I think that's what I have on AI. Be mindful, guys. Like
Yeah.
I was saying, time is time, and we don't get it back. Okay. I got young kids, I got a wife. We got business to run. Like, I don't have the time. There's a guy trying to get me to like go and do an in-person lunch to sell. It's like, bro, if you can't sell me on the phone, then like, what makes you think I'm gonna go and take 2 hours out of my day to go meet you, right? If you can't, like another guy, Mr. Torres sends me this guy. He's trying to like sell me something, right? I don't even know what it is, right? And he's like, "Hey, what do you want to hear?" And Mr. Tor calls me. I pick up because it's Mr. Tor. He's like, "Hey, I have this guy on the phone." I'm like, all right, what's going on, bro?" And the guy's like, and I'm like, "Hey, send me an email. I was expecting to talk to someone that I work with, not with you. So I don't want to talk to you. I have stuff to do." He's like, "Okay, well, what do you want to see in the email?" It's like, if you don't know that, my friend, I don't, I have nothing to give you, fam. So I will talk to you at another time. If you can't sell, you can't sell. And selling is a thing that is like probably one of the greatest skills in life. Because if you can sell, if you can get people excited about you and then your product without needing to go and sit down and wine and dine and like get somebody drunk and like do the whole thing, then you can sell, right? And then you don't need to worry about really anything, because if you can sell, and you'll always be in vogue, whether AI takes over or not. So yes. Well, other than that, good friends, that was another episode of
If
Shift
that,
Happens with myself, Derry Weems.
until then, guys, stay safe out there and keep the shiny side up. We'll see you on the next.
Keep the shiny side up, guy. That actually is going to be my new call sign every time we log off. Keep the shiny side up.